Greetings, comrades, and welcome to the Rad Gaming Podcast. I'm Jemshi.
And I'm Pescador. And in this episode of the podcast, we interview Gammo, a manager and founding member of TBD, a Twitch stream team dedicated to helping streamers reach their goals through networking, support, and hard work. In this episode, we discuss how to utilize your Twitch clips effectively, the benefits of turning off your viewer count, and we go into some of his craziest moments on stream.
This episode of the Rad Gaming Podcast is sponsored by Cento Fiore. Cento Fiore is a lifestyle fashion brand that sees beauty in cultural heritage and always strives to offer timeless and elegant style. Visit cento-fiore.com to join the family. That's cento-fiori.com. All right, time to hulk up with some Gammo radiation. So just give us a little bit of background about yourself, kind of growing up with video games and how you got into streaming.
So my father was in military intelligence in Germany. That's where I was born. And the post he worked at had a arcade game of the original Gauntlet. And that's so he introduced family to or video games to us from that. He would like always tell stories like when they would have to go to drill or something, because they didn't actually have to put the coins in it. They had it open so they could just hit it. They would like set soda cans. They would set soda cans on the shoot button. I don't know if you're familiar with Gauntlet, the original one, but they would set it up to where they could come back to it like 6 hours later because there was no save games and still be able to keep playing. Right. So that's what introduced video games into the family. It was definitely more so now as gamers like my age are becoming parents. It's more of a commonplace to have parents that are gamers, but for me growing up in like the early 90s with a parent as a gamer, like that helped me a lot, Yeah, like having PCs and having a LAN set up so we could play Command and Conquer with him and my brothers and stuff like that. That's how I got into video games. How I got into streaming was in 2013, I was at work and I was talking to some guys. I was over third shift, so like everybody was new. And me and a guy we were working, he was talking about Dungeons and Dragons and asked me if I'd ever played it. And I was talking to him about, it's been a long time, and he was like, well, I watched this awesome D&D show on Twitch. And I was like, what is Twitch? And that's how I introduced it. So my first introduction into Twitch wasn't even gaming. It was watching JP's first season of roleplay. And I watched that for a while. And then I started some of the, all the players on that show were streamers themselves. So that's how I branched into some watching people do gaming stuff. And I watched for about, 6 or 8 months. At that point in my career, I was on a schedule of 4 days on, 4 days off. So like every 4 days I had 4 days of free time. And I was like, well, I'm gonna give this streaming thing a shot, and that was 2014. And that's when I started streaming. Wasn't consistent like throughout the years. Because of what I've told you guys about the work history, I've had periods of inconsistency, and then I've had periods of consistency where it's been really well. And then just this last month has been where I have actually have like a legitimate stream schedule and everything.
Yeah. So you say that consistency kind of depicted how many viewers you got on average. So I'm saying when you're consistent, you had a pretty good average. You had maybe a schedule set kind of ish, and you would notice that your numbers would rise up, and then once you got inconsistent, went back down.
Yep, exactly. I had someone send me a message on Twitter the other day asking for streaming advice, and I always tell people, go live. That's number one. Be entertaining, and then be consistent in those first two. And it's really not any more complicated than that. And the guy was like, well, that's not the eye-opening advice I was looking for. And it's like, well, if you could just say, hey, follow these steps and you'll be Dr. Disrespect, everybody would be famous on Twitch.
But they've been consistent for so long. And that's the whole point of, just look at I can't even think of his name. Why am I going blank here, Jemshi? Come on.
Ninja?
Yes, thank you. Don't know why I go blank. Look at Ninja. I mean, he's been there since what? Justin TV?
Right, he was kind of there in the early days.
So I'm saying he's been there for that long, grinding that long. I mean, you can't expect to just be an instant sensation overnight.
Right, absolutely. But unfortunately, that's what a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm. So walk us through your process. Like you went through this whole gaming phase with arcades. What was your next step? What was your big jump to?
So let's see. So we had a NES. and we had a Game Boy, because after my father got out of the military, he was a commander. He was the jail commander for a jail in the town we lived in. So I don't know if you guys remember, but Kool-Aid used to have Kool-Aid points on the back, right? I probably don't remember, but they used to have points. Okay?
I don't
it was like a single
that.
pack of Kool-Aid. It had like one. It had like 1 point on the back. If it was like a big thing of Kool-Aid, it had like 5 points. Well, all the inmates drank Kool-Aid. That's what their drinks were: water or Kool-Aid. So he would amass these like hundreds and thousands of Kool-Aid points, and the catalog was like all Nintendo stuff. It was like,
man,
Game Boys awesome. With all these games and like carrying cases and stuff. So had a bunch of Game Boy and NES stuff, for free essentially.
That's awesome.
So always played around with that a lot. Then
what games were you playing on those consoles?
Let's see. So definitely on NES, I played a lot of Zelda. Played a lot of the Mario Brothers 1, Mario Brothers 3. Another big one, Bubble Bobble. I don't know if you guys remember those games, but Bubble Bobble 1 and 2. Played a lot of those.
I can't say that I do remember that, actually.
Yeah. Explain that game for me, because I haven't heard about that one.
Bubble Bobble, you're like these little dinosaurs, and you can play 1 player, 2 player, right? And it's like each stage, stages are different, whether they have platforms or stuff.
Yeah.
And there's little enemies, and your dinosaurs, if you hit the B button, they would shoot out a bubble, right? And when you hit the enemy into a bubble, it would float around, and you jumped on the bubble to pop it. And you had to clear the level of all the enemies, and eventually like power-ups would come in, and there was boss fights and stuff. And
it's a really interesting game.
Okay.
Jeez,
it was actually really fun.
It sounds fun.
It was like a Korean or a Japanese import or something, but it kind of took off a little bit. So then my actual next console wasn't until N64, because my parents separated, and just everything that comes along with that. So. My mom wasn't as big of a fan of video games. She had custody, but then we got an N64 launch year. It came out. Definitely, huge inspirations there was GoldenEye 64, Smash Brothers 64,
yep.
Which I am still like the Nintendo 64 Smash Brothers champion. In April, we went back home. Once a year, I try to go back home. And I was beating people 3-on-1 on N64 Smash Brothers. I'm not as good in the newer ones, but like 30-year-old guys like raging trying to break controllers and stuff in the year 2019 playing an N64 game. Then I probably didn't get into PC gaming. Let's see, the original XCOM games, I played those when I was in middle school. I was really into those. But then I didn't build my first gaming PC until after I graduated high school, when I was in college. Definitely, that was like when like Battlefield 1942 and Battlefield 2 were real big. Battlefield 2142. Those were probably the games I played the most on PC. I played a lot of the RPGs like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, Neverwinter, stuff like that.
Those are some good games. I love Baldur's Gate. It's
awesome.
People don't really appreciate them anymore because the graphics are. I still play Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
I do. It's an awesome RPG. I loved it.
It is. They had those updates for it too, where they added like the arenas and stuff on the Steam re-releases, and those are so much fun.
They really don't understand, man. It's comes with age, I guess, but those things were so awesome. Especially like GoldenEye on N64, Smash. Oh my goodness, those games were.
They were just such groundbreaking games. Like there was nothing like either one of those. Look at all the genres they've spawned and all the games.
But when you have all these games at your fingertips, please tell me you've saved some of them. Some besides, obviously your N64. You said that you're playing it and go back to it, but do you have any of your NES games still, like a collection of them, since you've accrued so many?
So hindsight being 2020, my older brother was in the military, still is, retires in November at the age of 38. Smart life decisions. I ended up giving him all the consoles when he enlisted in the military because he was like overseas and stuff. Didn't know how valuable my copy of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on Dreamcast was going to be. At one point I think GameStop was giving like $300 trading credit for that game before they had the new one come out. But I don't have anything but the N64.
That's an honorable thing that you did, giving it to your. It just goes to show you people in the gaming in the gaming community in general. They're such giving individuals, and that's why I absolutely love it. And I'm sure you saw that with kind of going into Twitch. I mean, that's kind of, well, you know, you said you just kind of stumbled upon it by watching D&D. So maybe kind of walk us through, you know, your thought process when you first saw it, and then why you decided, like, really is like, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot.
So, let's see. When I first saw it, I was like really blown away and really confused because, you know, Twitch had been out for a few years then. This was right after Twitch Plays Pokemon had come out, which I guess was like a real big launch pad into a lot of people finding out more about it. So at first I was kind of intimidated because it was like so much was going on, and there was like all these memes and the Kappa emote and stuff, and I was like, couldn't wrap my head around it, you know? But, you know, that's when I had, I was saying I had 4 days off every 4 days. I was watching some people a lot. I used to be part of an improv comedy group, so I was like, you know, I've been in front of people before. I'm playing video games all the time. Like, why don't I just go ahead and give this a shot, you know, and see what I can do. Unfortunately, and if I had known about Twitch in 2011, I'd probably be in a different position now. I don't know what, but it would be different because in 2011, I was like grinding out DayZ mod to make YouTube videos.
Oh, I love DayZ.
And like, yeah, a lot of people may not realize it, but like Lyric got his start in DayZ mod, and he like didn't even have a microphone. It was pulling like several thousand viewers because
I had no idea.
You know, yeah, you know, but yeah, I just I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a stab at this because I had a pretty strong PC at that time. I had to get a second monitor. Self-taught everything, you know, everything out there you ever need to know on Twitch is on YouTube. And if you can't find it on YouTube, the Twitch subreddit's a pretty good place.
So what were some of the hurdles that you had to overcome when you first started out? So I'm sure you already had the gaming PC, so
yeah, well, my first let's see, learning OBS and self-teaching myself about lighting and all of that. Like my first green screen was 2 pieces of green poster board that I glued together and attached yardsticks to them and glued those to the back of my chair. And I had to like zoom my camera way in, you know, whereas now we have like the awesome Elgato green screens. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that.
Yeah. Right.
That was a big hurdle. I didn't know anything about networking, like many new streamers probably do today. I thought I would just click live and, you know, go live and people would show up. I didn't have a Twitter account. I wasn't on Instagram or, you know, didn't have anything on Facebook. But I'll never forget. It was so, like I told you guys, I had a 4-day rotation. My third day of that rotation, which was my third day streaming, I got my first viewer. I was streaming Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Academy because even now to this day, I'm never a streamer to play like the flavor of the week game. Well, to stream the flavor of the week game, I might play it, but I don't typically stream it. Like I just started Breath of the Wild for the first time, you know, last week, and it's a 2-year-old game. So I was just playing games that I loved that I knew I could maybe speak to or demonstrate a stronger skill level at. So I got my first viewer. Well, I don't know if it was my first viewer, but it was the first person to chat, who ended up being my first donator also. Of course, this was before bits and affiliate subs. And then it just like I started meeting other people, and it just kind of consumed me from there. Like, you know, when I was at work, couldn't stop thinking about Twitch and, you know, things I don't do now, but like, you know, obsessing over my viewer count and all the data and all the numbers and, you know, inevitably comparing myself to others and like beating myself up, like all of that part of the process. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there was periods then in that portion of my career where maybe I wouldn't be able to stream for like 6 weeks, you know, like I was wildly inconsistent. Like, yeah, like it was rough, you know, working retail. I remember when Fallout 4 came out, a viewer gifted the game to me so I could stream it on release day. And I didn't get to stream it until like, I didn't even go live until 3 weeks after the game came out because I worked like 33 days in a row that holiday season.
Wow.
You know, so but the whole time, and I don't know if this is, you know, awesome to say or makes me look bad or whatever, but because I'm not partnered, but I'm this small streamer and I have people coming to my channel and being like, oh my God, why are you not partnered? You know, you're so funny. Your content's everything looks so good on your stream. Like all your stuff, you know, looks so original and you're so engaging. And I didn't know. I was like, I don't know. If I knew the answer, you know, I'd I'd write the book and make $1 million on how to get partnered on Twitch. But things like that are kind of what kept me going. And when I say I didn't stream for 6 weeks, I also, I didn't play games for 6 weeks. Like there wasn't like, I got time for this. Like there was, times
you were just
where,
on the grind, right?
yeah, on the grind big time. But, so then fast forward, so when I quit that job, like I told you guys, I had another job lined up that fell through. It was supposed to be a 3-month wait, but it ended up being a 2-year wait, which I just started last month. I had like 4 or 5 months of where I was unemployed. I had left that job with almost 6 months in pay, just from like all the accumulated vacation time I had that I was never able to use, and a profit sharing account that had been growing for 15 years. And the plan was never like, oh, I'm going to be a full-time streamer. It's just what I did. I had, yeah, like it was, I quit that job. My last day on that job was October 30th of that year. My daughter was 6, and that Thanksgiving was the first Thanksgiving I ever spent with her. That Christmas Eve was the first Christmas Eve I was ever home. So it was kind of, it was like hey, we're going to stream more, but I'm also going to connect with the family, get everything, established there, make up for lost time.
Get life back on track, huh?
Yeah, get everything back on track. So last year, I met Sir Lee, who's the team owner of TBD and the creator of that. I met him before he was a partner, just like randomly on Twitter, just like, hey, what's going on? And then we found out we live like 2 hours away from each other. So he gets, yeah, right. So he gets partnered. He creates Twitch TBD. We start growing. We're growing a lot. We're still growing. I take over the managing of that team, so I do that on the side as well. TBD has just like elevated it, everybody even more, because it's just such a, like, it's the name's getting out there when people see that name now, and we're such a solid team. And I'm not saying anything bad about how other people manage their teams or how they do their teams, but not anybody who applies gets on our team. We have quality standards that we withhold and make sure you're not going to say really awful things. And
right,
there's an application process. And then we have the community team as well, which is kind of anybody can join as long as they follow the steps. It's like an automated process. Do this art. And then they can go from the community team to that. But that's just taking things like to the next level. Like, I never thought streaming Star Wars Jedi Academy to no viewers that in 2019 I'd be on conference calls with sponsors that are, potentially wanting to make some pretty serious deals because of the team. We got the G Fuel sponsorship now, and we got it's probably bad that I can't remember the name, but a gaming chair company who sells chairs with our logos on them to the team members if they want it, and they gave us a chair to give away for free. And awesome. MeUndies is rolling around, and Harry's, and all these other sponsorships. So it's pretty wild.
So I see a ton of Discords out there. And you said that there's some things that some Discords do wrong. Without, obviously throwing out names, what are like some common mistakes that most Discords make when they're creating a community?
If I said Discord, I meant team. I apologize. But you want me to go? I mean, I can.
By all means.
Go with that.
Yeah.
Go with Discord or go with team?
Whichever one you got more passionate about.
Yeah.
Well, I could go. I mean, I could do a little bit of both. And once again, I can't speak to the inner workings of some teams, and I'm sure all of these teams have led to some success for some people, and I'm sure they do great things. But you see teams that have like 3,500 members, and you wonder how anybody really gets to know each other, or how anybody really gains anything from that team. And you go to their Discord, and the only thing people are doing in their Discord is there's a channel that says going live, and people are just dropping their links in the going live thing. And it's like, come on, like, really? I see, it's like, I see probably 20 to 50 going live links on Twitter every day, and I've never went, I'm going to check this guy out and become a new viewer of his because of a going live link. Now, maybe the team has a streamer of the week spotlight, and this team's Twitter account says, hey, this is our community member of the week, and gives you a little bio about the person, and this is what he's playing or she's playing. Go check him out. Well, that's, there's some effort behind that, and there's some thought, and you can kind of get a visualization of who this person is. So I think that's where a lot of teams fail. They just get these massive numbers and they're like, oh, we've got 4,500 team members. And it's like, okay, well, why are so many of them streaming in 260p and getting 24-hour bans for, TOS violations or, I just think people get satisfied through size and not quality a lot of the time.
You were talking about Twitter. I noticed you said that you see a lot of going lives on Twitter. You have a big Twitter following. What did you do to really grow on Twitter? Was it your community that you had, your team, I should say, that grew you, or did you grow on Twitter first?
I would say both. The team helps. As the team has kind of begun to become a familiar name, that helps. Also, I will do searches on Twitter for Twitch and streamer, and I'll follow people and I'll give them a couple weeks. And if I like their content, I'll reach out to them, make a connection. There's been tons of people where I've been like, hey, you're not part of a team. I'm the manager for TBD. I was in your stream. I liked what I saw. Have you ever thought about joining a team? And if I don't get a connection or I don't like someone's content, I'll unfollow them. It's just, I don't do any like follow for follow stuff or anything like that. If you've ever gone through like a following spree on Twitter, you'll see like people post like 6 pages of the Bible to you, and it's like, check out my Snapchat, my Instagram, and all this, and if you feel like it, go here to SoundCloud and like all the songs from my last album, and it's like, geez, like whoa. That, But I try to kind of mix up my tweets from like a tweet that would give a perspective of my life, like if something funny happens that's not Twitch related, or something someone can relate to, and then one thing I've been trying to do is find one good clip from every time I go live, which I need to do a better job of getting my viewers to help me with that, because like you'll have a stream and like people be in chat like, oh my God, I'm literally crying right now. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. And everybody's doing like the lol emote in chat. And then you're like, yeah, and you go back after and you look clips and nobody clipped anything, And I hate to be the guy who's like, clip it, which there's a clip button on the stream deck and I need to play with it because I didn't have it. It wasn't working right for me, but that's definitely a good Twitter recommendation I can give, is try to pull one good clip. If you don't have a good clip, don't force something out. But if you can get a good clip from every time you go live, because especially if you use the trimming tool and make it like an 8-second clip instead of a 30-second clip, somebody's, I don't know what the stats are, but they say if you have a GIF or a video or an image in your tweet, the interaction goes up like 40 to 60%.
Right. You have some kind of visual element to kind of, that attracts people more than just text, because like they don't commit to it unless they've read it, and if they just skim through it, you've missed them. Yeah, exactly.
With you being the manager of TBD, or looking at everyone's Twitch content in general, if you were to see me, what would you look for? What would you want to see in a streamer?
As far as if you were going to be on the team or not?
Yeah.
Chat engagement. Are people saying, hey, what's up, man, and you don't notice for 5 minutes, or are you really into chat? I would say the engagement is first. Stream quality is probably second or third, because some people just can't help it. They're doing their best. You don't want to be like, oh, you're not 1080p, you can't join my team, and most people don't even stream in 1080p. Definitely engagement. A lot of times, and I'll do that myself. I'll just go in their chat and be like, hey, what's going on, man? Nice to meet you. Or I'll talk to them, see how well they are. Does there, when you talk quality, not just the video quality, but is there, this is kind of getting nitpicky. This isn't something someone would get denied for or anything, but is there a theme to their channel? Is there about me section like 400 things long, or do they just have like donate here and they don't have a profile picture and they have the default banner? Does it seem like it's something they're passionate about? Can you see the passion in the way they're interacting with their viewers, or are they really highly skilled at the game they're playing?
Do they put thought into their their channel, their layout?
Yeah. Is there anything unique about them? Some people could have lower quality, but they're doing something no one else is doing, and you're like, what, I really need that person to be on my team.
Gotcha. You said that you had some improv. What sparked that? What made you start doing that?
It was in high school. that was like when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Wow, Whose Line Is It Anyways was like peaking in popularity.
I love that show.
Yeah, and
So
there was a talent show, and me and 4 friends were like, "Hey, let's do improv," and we did it, and everybody loved it. And the school actually asked us to do our own show, and like let us get the ticket sales from it, and we just went from there.
Wow, so it was that big of a success?
It was pretty big. I mean, high school success, I guess you could say, you know. Actually, my off topic kind of, but my best friend whose idea it was, I was just in LA 4 weeks ago for his first movie premiere. He directed and wrote a movie.
Oh, that's awesome.
Premiered it, and it's like crazy. Like, it was actually funny because we were sitting on the porch at the Airbnb before we went to the red carpet, and I was like, who would have thought, in 2000 when we were doing an improv group in a small high school in Massachusetts that we'd end up in LA going to a red carpet premiere because you wrote and directed a movie. Like,
that's awesome.
It's just wild.
That's huge. I mean, seeing your friend kind of just blow up before your eyes, that's awesome. Are you saying earlier you were saying that apparently you watched people grow with success in Twitch, and you were so fixated on numbers.
Mm-hmm.
What got you away from really having that fixation anymore, like pegging yourself against other people?
So, I probably do still peg myself against other people somewhat, but not a lot, not like anything I used to. I live close to Charlotte, North Carolina, and Twitch has official groups in a lot of major cities, and Twitch Charlotte is one of them. And the streamer who's the leader of Twitch Charlotte, I was talking to her one time, and I don't even remember exactly what the topic was or how we got to it, but she was like, "Trust me, turn your viewer count off. Like, never look at your viewer count." And I was like, "Oh, but then I won't know if I'm doing good or not, And she was like, "Just go off chat, because I would obsess over it. Like, it would go from like 7 to 5, and I'm like, oh God, what have I done? This is awful." And
yeah,
just eliminating that is just so like breathtaking. It's just awesome. It's so free. It's like now, like if I go live and there's just one person in chat, but they're consistently chatting with me, and I don't see the viewer count, like I don't even care, And then I end the stream, and someone who was lurking sends me a message, and they're like, "Oh, great stream, dude." And I'm like, "Really?" And then I get like the Streamlabs stream summary email later, and it's like, average viewers 36, and I'm like, "Holy crap, I had no idea," Because what I found with me is the viewer count changed who I was, either positively or negatively. It impacted my behavior too much. I was no longer me, because like if it started going up, I was like, "Oh, I need to do more of this," and if it went down, I was like, "Oh, I need to do less of that." So I became more natural and able just to flow and do my thing without having it. And maybe viewer count doesn't impact everybody. That could be a me thing. I know there's a lot of people it does impact, but turning it off helped a lot for me.
It's so weird to actually kind of think about how somebody watching you can really change who you are as a person. I know that there's a few people that we've talked to in the past that said that, that viewer count really did, I guess, animate them more when there were more people in there, because they wanted to show them they're more funny than what they actually were. So they kind of gave a little bit more expressions and whatnot. So it's crazy that people do get fixated on these numbers. And I think a huge thing that people get fixated on is the push for partner. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people get lost in that.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself getting lost in that whole process at all?
No, and every time I hear the words partner push together, it's like someone puts a crucifix in my face and I'm a vampire. But no, honestly, like with me, like truly, if I'm never partnered, I'm okay with that. Full-time streaming is nowhere on the radar for me. It's not even a goal of mine. Like, obviously if I was making $250,000 a month, I'd be cool with that, but it's just what I do now. I have a job I love, spending time with my family, and all of that security has just made Twitch like, hey, let's have a good time. This is awesome. Like, since I've been streaming, even though it's been inconsistently since 2014, there's people who I see like talk to every day, and they got married and now they have a kid, and that kid's 5, and I know what's going on in their life, and they know what's going on in my life, and just all these connections. Like, for me, it's kind of my social outlet. It's how I engage with friends. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's like hanging out with friends. was another point I was going to make, and I don't remember what it was.
Oh, my bad.
What was what was the exact question you said again?
Dang, I don't know.
There was another point.
I know I said partner push, and you said holding a crucifix to your face.
Well, yeah, okay. And
So-
the gap between affiliate and partner has gotten so small now. Like, by the end of, what is it, March, April, May, I'll have 5 emotes, tier 1 emotes, and then it's like, I don't know, 2 tier 2s and 1 tier 3 or something along those lines. But we got the emotes now. You can get the subs, you get the bits. Like, I'm not getting ad revenue on 1 cent for my 30 viewers that watch an ad. Like, that, what else am I really missing? I'm struggling to come up with 5 emotes. I don't need 15 or 20.
I guess some people just like that title. They just want to be
Oh, they
known as a
absolutely
Twitch
do.
partner.
Oh yeah, and I
don't know about the rest.
Oh, and I've seen those people who like they get partnered, and God bless their soul, but I don't know if they have like 400 tabs open on their computer, but they'll go to as many channels as they can and be like, hey, and just leave, just so that they can flex that partner badge in a chat, and that's not what I'm about, but it is. I mean, and not to take anything away from partners, because it's not an easy thing to do, and if you get it, it's definitely an accomplishment. That's definitely not the end of the road. I see partners that have less viewers than myself or other team members, and
right. I think that's kind of the downfall of partner push, is that they always kind of push up and they get that partner label, and then as soon as that happens, everyone's like, "Cool, we got it,"
Yeah.
And then they have no more chat.
Yeah,
and they just have maybe what was it, 75 average? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
to
go from
30 maybe
600 subs while you're partner pushing to like 50.
Yep.
Right,
Which
and
50 subs is awesome, but going from 600 to 50 has to suck,
That would actually be exhausting for me if I actually saw that happen. It's kind of like watching your viewer count go down, in a sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
except as over the course of the stream, it's over your streaming career. You've kind of seen it go up, and then suddenly goes down. Like, what did I do?
Right.
You kind of think all the.
Fortunately, I'm in a position where none of my bills are paid with Twitch money. The money absolutely gets spent, but I'm not dependent on, oh God, if I don't hit payout, this month, this bill's not going to get paid. Which there's people out there who are, and that's an awesome thing that Twitch has done for the affiliates. When the dialogue first started with the affiliates, Twitch's whole stance on it was, let us help you make a living. We see you guys putting in the time and you putting in the hours and making the connections. So I think that's really given me a much different perspective on things. Having the security at home, couple that with not looking at the viewer count, and just like I can just like go live and just, let it all out.
You don't have to kind of feel like you're begging for people to donate or anything like that. You can just engage with them just how you would normally would with anyone else.
Right. Now, if I don't ever hit payout, I'll probably be upset about it, to be honest with you, but it's still just it's kind of relieving, I guess.
It's not a high priority or anything.
No.
So with being a manager, obviously you're able to look at it at a different standpoint. How do you manage your Twitter to do better? How do you manage your team to pull in the best recruits? I mean, that must be daunting to do all those chores.
It is. So, which, full disclosure, I have to say many times on Twitter, my opinions are my own and do not represent the team, which I probably should get away from that. But so the way the structure is set up on the team, as we've grown, there's a lot of members who are staff. Originally, we all just had staff. That's all we had. We had staff and we had Sir Lee. Then as stuff started getting like bigger and sponsorships and lots of people messaging him, he created the management role, which is me and Ramen Witch and myself. So it's not just me doing everything, because there's a lot of stuff that gets filtered through staff. It's like, go to staff, can't go to staff, go to Gammo or Ramen, and usually then we handle it. I would say the managing side of it for me, which Sir Lee, he handles the Twitter account because he's got like 30,000 Twitter followers on his main account. His degree is in like he has a degree in like graphic arts and media advertising or something along those lines. So that's like his thing. Like, you take that. I would say my management thing is more of like when we talk to the sponsors, a lot of advising and roundtable discussions between the three of us, about big decisions that are made. sometimes I have to be the bad guy also, and then, when someone pings me and is like, oh, this person's doing this in lounge, and, I'm like, okay, I'll be the bad guy and go in there and take care of stuff like that. Just, just little things. Cause there's a whole, there's like a live Google Doc and everything for the application process. We work with Opera Event, who have GatherBot. They have a whole quest line for people when they want to apply. So it automates a lot of that. Have they done this? Have they done that? Do they have this, this metric and this stat, and is this art on their webpage? And then it comes to us, and, we just assign it to everybody. Like, this staff member takes 9 applicants. This one takes 9. This one takes 9. If they're a green light or a red light, they get reviewed by management or Sir Lee just to make sure. And if they're yellow, then, we have like a round table and try to decide if we're going to make them green or red from there.
Makes perfect sense.
So like,
how long did it take you kind of to come up with that like process? Because that doesn't sound like something that happened overnight. You didn't just say, "Oh, this is what we're gonna do."
It didn't. Initially, it was all manual. A lot of spitballing back and forth. Really crazy story. So when GatherBot first came out, I'm probably wrong on the year, but like 2012, 2013. So have you guys ever seen the BitBoss thing where someone cheers and the HP goes down?
Yeah,
right.
Okay, so that was their first product, was BitBoss, right? And you saw it like everywhere. Well, they had introduced some settings or something where you could change the BitBoss, and I was like, I don't like doing anything that anybody else has. I try to change it so it's different. So I went on the site and it had something on the bottom about like join our beta program or something. So I clicked on that, signed up for it, and much like I'm here with you guys, I get on a Discord call and they're rolling out all this new stuff. Really cool monetization avenues, really interactive things where viewers can earn free subs and stuff like that. So I was like, cool, I'm going to get in on this. So I get in on it, and they have this like crazy like choose your own adventure bot that comes in your chat, and like by viewers doing things, it unlocks like new quests. And I had this one viewer who got like super into it. Okay, his name's Stuff a Lot. He got like so into it. He joins their Discord. He's like helping out and stuff. Well, flash forward to 2018, they fly him out to LA and give him a job. Okay, he's like on their sponsorship team, right? So like, what are the chances of me having this connection?
Wow.
Yeah, he's like booths at TwitchCon, giving people swag to send me because I didn't go to TwitchCon. Well, they roll out this new team management program, right? And I have this guy who's been a huge supporter of mine for years now, like my top cheer, who's managing this program for them. And he's like, hey, you're part of a team. Hey, we have this thing with teams now. Let us make it easier for you. So, we're on the beta testing with that. We have conference calls every week, and they're the ones who came up with this quest mode process for getting people to go through the application and get on the team.
That's awesome. So do you kind of give them feedback and they kind of build the product based on things that you 100%.
Say? Yep, absolutely. And we're not the only team working with them. There's bigger teams out there that are too, but they are very much like, we have a dedicated Discord channel with them. They are like, hey, we got this deal. You guys interested in it? Or, we tell them, because they're going to be, I don't know what I can talk about, but they have a lot of cool stuff coming out that'll be great for teams. And they're also great for just individual streamers too.
So you work with a lot with sponsors, you said. Maybe walk us through the process in general of sponsors. It's kind of a foreign thing to a lot of people out there, to be honest. So maybe just kind of, do you reach out to sponsors or they reach out to you guys?
Typically they reach out to us. There are different websites where you can reach out to them and apply, like endorse.gg is one. That's a good one. Through GatherBot, tons of sponsorship opportunities. My thing on sponsors for an individual level for me is I'm not going to push anything I don't believe in, first of all, but I try to find one really good deal. If it's a good deal or a product that makes sense for my viewer base, I'll go after it. This is me being very opinionated, but you can go to a lot of streamers' channels and it looks like an Amazon store page. It's like, sub to me here, gift subs, bits, donations. Here's my wish list of everything I want you to buy me on Amazon. Here's this gaming chair, you get a code off. Here's this energy drink, you get a code off. Here's this e-liquid, you get a code off. And it's like, holy crap, I didn't come here to, buy my groceries. I came here to watch. And, so
you don't kind of feel like they've got any kind of passion behind those things that they're endorsing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, because people are like, oh my God, I'm sponsored by such and such. And it's like, no, you're not sponsored. You're selling their product and they're giving you a portion of the sales. If you were sponsored, you'd have like, they give you free stuff and pay you to put things on your channel. Which I think a lot of people aren't educated on that. And I think that's where like Endorse GG and GatherBot do a really good job of making those connections and kind of educating people on how those things work.
So if you wanted to get sponsored as a streamer, what would you do? How would you go about presenting yourself?
Well, you have to know your numbers, and you have to be able to present those and give a reason as to why someone would want to sponsor you. But once again, as someone who's not in the marketing field or in advertising, I would just highly recommend people go to either one of those websites and let them do the work for you. It's a growing business. I'll probably misquote some numbers here, but on our last sponsorship call, the example was given to us is they were like, hey, companies are realizing now, they can spend $1 million to have George Clooney drink their coffee on a TV commercial and their sales don't really change. Or they can give this small influencer $1,000 who's got 100 dedicated fans, and 20 of those fans start buying this product. And they become lifelong, purchasers of this product. So they're starting to realize, as the digital age is growing and social media influencers, that there's a big shift there, and
there's a connection that those streamers have with their audience that George Clooney doesn't really have. He's never talking to his audience or
exactly
on the level that you guys are.
Right. So I would definitely recommend getting in with some of these sponsorship companies early before, it's 5 years down the road.
Saturated and
they've given their first 10,000 streamers a Dorito sponsorship and they're not giving anybody else any. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you got to get in early.
So is there something you do outside of streaming? Is there any hobbies that you have?
Yes. So kind of, let's see. Man, this is going to make me sound really weird. So I do a lot of target shooting. I am an avid gardener. My wife and I both do. I am a gymnastics dad. I had to go to Georgia this last weekend for a gymnastics tournament. Let's see. That's probably it. I'm pretty much work, stream.
So what do you grow? You're a gardener.
So I don't know if you've ever heard of a tire garden. No, this isn't a garden that grows tires. But you take tires because, okay, at least in my state, if you get rid of a tire, you have to pay a disposal fee, right?
Yeah.
So it's very easy to get old tires for free because people are like, oh, I don't have to pay a disposal fee. Take all you want. So you take a tire. Let's say, I don't have a good example, but if you take a tire and you cut if you're looking at a tire from the side and you cut that sidewall out, so then you have, because you got the hubcap and that gap there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And you make like a pattern. Like we have this really cool pattern if you were to look from Google Earth in our backyard of all these tires with like stones in between them and everything. And the benefit of that is with the tires being black, they gather warmth from the sun better. So it keeps the root system warmer. The curvature of the tire along the bottom holds water when you water them, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's like it's like
right.
green fuel. And you fill them up with your own soil, obviously. And but what I grow, I grow zucchinis, jalapenos. I make a lot of pickled jalapenos. I give them out at Christmas and stuff. People love them. We grow radishes, carrots, green beans, string beans.
Does that mean that you're kind of a cook as well?
Yes. Like my house, okay, so my house is the dynamic here is very awkward. Well, backwards, I guess you could say, because it doesn't make sense looking at us, and my wife will never hear this, but everybody always gives me crap because I married up like 50 levels. I don't know how I did it. It's another thing if I could write a book on, I'd be a millionaire. But like our house is so backwards. Like you could walk in our house and I'm like in the kitchen cooking and my wife's out back like building a lawnmower. Like, it just doesn't make sense. But she's like
breaking all standards and stereotypes.
Yeah, but I'm definitely the cook and she builds things.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Oh wow. Let's see. I do really good barbecue. I used to have people at work would pay me to make Boston butts for them. And
I'm assuming I can't ask you for the recipe.
I can give it to you. Yeah, it's easy.
Oh man,
so
do it, please.
If you don't ever use a propane grill, first of all, King of the Hill fans, I'm sorry. I only use like actual lump charcoal, which is actually typically cheaper than the pressed briquettes. Find what wood you like. A lot of stores sell different kinds of wood now, and everything's just slow and low, man. It's like you hear, slow and low. Cut into the Boston butt, put garlic cloves into it, mix like based on what you're feeling. Like I always use apple cider vinegar, and I mix it with either pineapple juice or apple juice, and like every 20 minutes spray it down. Yeah, and it gets like this really, like they call it the bark on the meat when it's done, like this really dark, just like crunchy outside layer, you know.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with finishing it in the oven. I'll smoke it for like 3 hours, and then I'll throw it in the oven at like 200 degrees for another 2 or 3 hours. Because at that point, you're not going to get any more penetration of the smoke into the meat. So
you have this down to a science, my man.
I do.
How long have you been doing cooking and gardening then?
I started cooking when shortly after my parents got divorced, because my older brother went to live with my dad, and it was just myself and my younger brother, who was 5 years younger than me, and my mom worked nights a lot. So I just started from there, you know, and then as I just grew up, I could afford my own things and buy what I wanted to. I started learning how to do other stuff and just, went from there. It's always been what I've done.
Do you pull anybody else into your stream, like your streams? Is your wife, is she into video games?
She's not into video games, but Gammo wife is what they call her. She does make an appearance. I have had a few guests, without doxing anybody, just to show you how strong our team is. There was a really bad hurricane this last year, and I was reaching out to team members that I knew were in the zone, and were like, hey, what's the plan? Are you guys good? Like, you got a plan? And one team member was like, yeah, I'm going to Georgia. And I was like, you realize you're driving by my house to go to Georgia, right? And person I'd never met in person before stayed at my house for like 9 days because their city got evacuated and flooded for the hurricane. So that was actually hilarious because he is not white and he is not old like me. He is young and black. And I'm at work. Like, I still have my job to do, right? Like, I go to work, and I had everything logged on my computer, and he goes live with the title like, guys, I have a confession to make. Like, I need all viewers here. So he goes live, and it's just like on my stream, and most of the people knew him, from the team, but it was just hilarious. I'm getting all these messages from people like, oh my God, did you know he's doing that? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So I'm looking at it. But it's just crazy the kind of connections you make. It's just, a lot of people can't equate to that. Like, when my father got remarried like 25 years ago, he met his wife online, and that was like, ooh, but now it's like
the stigma's
it's the norm.
Yeah, I play video games with people, and they have a natural disaster, and they come stay at my house with my wife and kid for 9 days while I'm at work. It's like that wouldn't. And I'm not just saying invite anybody you met online into your home, but you have these relationships with people that you've known for 3 or 4 years online, and then you come to that face-to-face thing where you finally get to meet them, and it's just crazy.
I think I knew Jemshi for like a year, and I was like, hey man, because we live in different states. A lot of people don't know that. That's why we're in a Discord call right now. But I think was it after a year, or was it 2?
I think it was pretty close to a year. After a year, because we met playing video games, and it was just one of those things where we just had that connection where we just really like talking and playing with each other, and we just we're like, we need to start something, like
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've got viewers who are now friends that we exchange Christmas presents every year, and like, it's just crazy. Like, they all follow my wife on Facebook because she's wildly attractive and I'm not. Like, but still, all these things happen, and it's just crazy the connections you can make. And that's what I meant earlier when I was saying like Twitch is my social release. It's my interaction. It's how I hang out with my friends.
It really is, because you can be yourself in that atmosphere and just get along with literally everybody. And like, nobody knows your story, but then you can also, once you get to know someone, you can also reach out to them and be like, hey man, I've been going through this.
Right.
Can you give me some advice? And I've seen that happen multiple times, and I can't think of any other community, that would do that except for like the gaming community. Like, it's such an embracing community. It's amazing.
Like, did you guys see what Shroud just did when he hit 100K subs?
Honestly, I didn't. No, I did not.
There was some streamer, I don't know her name, I had never heard of her, but she was a CSGO streamer, and she got diagnosed with cancer. He hit 100K subs, like, went to her channel. There was like, I don't know, I've heard different numbers, but like a $5,000 donation. She had a Kickstarter going. The goal was 5,000. He told all of his people, like, go to her channel. Like, we've hit 100K subs. Kickstarter's at like 40 grand now.
Wow.
You know, and you don't see stuff like that outside of the gaming community.
Unreal.
You really don't, you know?
Oh, it's just so powerful. I mean,
Yeah.
just the amount of people like you influence, and people have no idea. So I don't go out. I don't drink, really. I mean, I'll have a beer here or there, but I don't go out and party. I go, and my weekend is here. I game. Like, I enjoy that. And then to be able to talk to individuals and get to know people and stuff, it's just my release. And I get to know people, build a friendship, and then I get to like actually hang out with them some like down the road. That's awesome. But for someone to, I'm assuming Shroud didn't even know this woman. Is that
I don't know. I mean, he used to play competitive CS:GO, and she might be on a team.
Oh, maybe. But regardless, I mean, for him to even do that is just amazing.
It is.
I've never seen anything like it, but that's such a heartwarming story. But the last thing I'm actually going to leave you with is, if there's one piece of advice that streamers can take away from this, what would you tell them?
Be consistent. It's like I said, anybody ask me for advice, go live, be entertaining, and be consistent on those first two. That's it. Consistency is everything. If you're consistently bad, I'm sorry, but streaming, you still go live if you want, but don't have any real expectations on anything. But, you know, be yourself every time and do your best to have a schedule, which, like I said, I didn't have a schedule for years, and I see the changes from having one. I didn't choose to not have a schedule. I just didn't, but be consistent. You know, and if something's going on and you're having an off day, you know, maybe you don't stream that day. Maybe but you know, don't just ghost anybody. Let them know. But be entertaining and be consistent. Entertainment comes in various forms. You know, you can look at someone like Shroud, who is just a god at any game he plays, but he's not super interactive a lot. Or you have people who are garbage at games, but they're really interactive and hilarious. You know, both of those are entertaining in their own ways. So I think you just got to find something you can do that makes you entertaining. You have to endear yourself to your viewers. That's I guess that's the best advice I got.
It's great advice.
Hey guys, so after we finished this interview, our conversation continued, and we got into some more of his crazier stories from his life on Twitch. So we decided to hit the record button again to get you guys a little bit more from this interview. Trust me, it gets really crazy. Enjoy.
So, one of the first games I main gamed, which I'm very much a variety streamer now, but was a game called RimWorld. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It was an indie game. It's actually really fun. It's got a huge mod community for it, but it's like a game where you crash land on a planet and you have these little survivors and they all have skills and you make them do things and you build a base and your goal is to build a ship and take off, right?
Yeah.
It was an alpha for a long time. It's like a super, super fun game. Well, it was like I became obsessed with the game, and it was the first game I started really getting like any traction and like 9-10 viewers instead of 2 or 3. So when I was on those 4 days off, like I would stream the game till like 12 midnight. I had a mod where you could custom create your own characters. So I would let viewers build their own characters. It had like a point system so they could pick what skills they wanted, whether they wanted to be the doctor or the hunter or whatever, you know, the engineer, and make the characters look like them. I would go to bed at midnight. I would get up, get my kid off to school at 7, and I would go live with it again, right?
Yeah.
And like not a lot of people knew about the game. And it was actually a viewer who had said, hey, I think you would like this game. Try it out. I don't remember. I think I was playing XCOM at the time. And he was like, you like strategy, you'd probably like this. So do you guys know who Co-Carnage is? Co-Carnage is he's one of the biggest streamers. So
familiar. I was to say, why am I saying, yeah.
Okay. But he's huge. Very family friendly streamer. But anyways, here I am, like new streamer guy, and I'm streaming RimWorld in the morning, right? Well, Co takes a lunch break every day. I didn't know it, but Co-Carnage and I were the only 2 people playing RimWorld, okay? And I had noticed my viewer count was a little higher. This is when I still looked at it, right? So he takes his lunch break with like 18,000 viewers, and there's people who still want to watch RimWorld.
Oh, boy.
And I get up to like 2,700 viewers, okay? It was, right? So I had to turn my follower count. I had to turn my follower alert off because it was just constant. Like 30 minutes in, like the whole time I'm just like running in high gear and haven't downshifted yet.
Yeah.
And I just like freaked out and stopped the stream with like 2,000 viewers, like 30 minutes in. And now I look back at that and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, but I was like, but that's what I talked about when I said the viewer count affects me too much. That's why I don't look at the viewer count. Because if chat was just moving and people were following, I would have been like, hey, but I was like, oh my God, this is below it, you know? And like, like my back started cramping and stuff because I guess I was like sitting in
super
a
tense
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
One big embarrassing story on Twitch. I've fallen asleep live before. I've gotten a 24-hour ban before for pornography. Wasn't pornography. Just gonna put that out there. So I was doing.
Explain, please.
Yeah. So I was just being opinionated and was trying to do a like a parody of booby streamers. Okay. So still full beard. Okay, full beard. I put on a blonde wig. I put on one of my wife's tank tops and a bra, and I stuffed the bra, but there was like no nipple or anything showing. And like every time someone would follow me, I would be like, "Oh my god!" And I had these hearts, and I'd write their name on them, and I'd like stick them on my forehead and stuff, and like stick them on the green screen and make all these big deals.
Yeah.
And then I start getting messages from people, and they're like, "Yeah, I think you got banned. Like your stream's offline," and I got banned for 24 hours for pornography. I still have the email saved. I tweeted it out like on 3-year anniversary.
I mean, it's kind of a compliment then if you were just that good looking that
Yeah.
people just couldn't handle it. They're like,
Yeah.
I gotta.
Yep. So those are my Twitch embarrassing stories.
Those are some pretty good ones. I've never heard.
Yeah.
I've heard of people getting 24-hour bans for weird stuff like playing. I guess inappropriate music wasn't really one of it. It just was a normal rap song. I can't remember what it was,
Yeah.
but they got banned for that. But never pornography in the sense that you were just dressed up as a woman. And
I know, right? Yeah. Now they'd probably be afraid to ban me, but
That's
You know.
really true.
Right
Actually,
now you got a community behind you that'd be like, what's going on? You know?
yeah, exactly. So, internet security and why this is important, okay? I have all these stories. Eventually, someone's going to say you're full of crap and not believe me. So, this is a great lesson in why you should have everything on two-factor authentication, okay? So, the first game my daughter ever got into was Roblox, right?
Yeah.
And she wanted me to play. She wanted me to play Roblox with her, and I streamed Roblox, and some people came into chat and were saying like wildly inappropriate things. They view botted me and stuff. They were saying inappropriate things about my daughter. I found their like team's Facebook page. It was called like Roblox memes or something, and got a little too aggressive on there probably than I should have. But I mean, they were just saying horrible things. They like took all these pictures. This was like 4 years ago. So I was like 30. They like took all these pictures of my stuff and said like 50-year-old gamer. I'm like, Jesus, I don't look older than I am, but I don't look 50. But anyways, plays Roblox and like, anyways, so that happened. So like I'm live like 2 or 3 days later, and there's a knock on my door, and I go out and I answer the door, and it's like a guy delivering pizza, right? And I'm like, okay, I've heard of people doing this. I'm like, which one of you guys did this? The guy's like, I got food for, and I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but I did not order any pizza. Like, I'm live right now. People do things like that. So I go back and I'm like, haha, guys. I'm like, you know, which one of you did this? Like, you know, don't do this again, but you got me this time. Well, then the door knocks again. Okay. So I'm outside for like 15 minutes. This point is like 11 different delivery services pull up to my house. Okay. Completely away from the computer. So my phone is laying on my computer right here, and I'm not seeing alerts going off from PayPal saying that my password's been changed, and Gmail saying my Gmail password's been changed. Meanwhile, someone in Louisiana has emptied my entire PayPal account and some of my bank account, and they're withdrawing the money from an ATM, right? So,
dang, man.
So I come back in from that, and I'm like livid. My wife's like freaked out because like all these people are showing up. I'm like, no one's ever going to let us deliver food to our house again, because I've had like one guy had like $130 in wings and stuff. So I had nothing on two-factor. I don't know what they did to get the password, but all of my passwords were the same for everything: email, Twitch, PayPal. Nothing was on two-factor. Got all the money back. It was a huge headache, but it ended up being from those Roblox guys who I thought were kids. Who knows? You know, the money got withdrawn in Louisiana, but they were like bragging about it on Facebook, and the detective was like, look, he was like, it was like $1,500, I think, total. He was like, the bank's the one who takes the loss here. They gave you the money back. They're not going to pursue these guys. But when I was talking to him, the fraud detective, he was like, that's what people do now. He was like, everybody's so connected to their phones and does everything from their phones. Their goal is to get you away from your phone. He was like, so when they had 11 people show up to your house at the same time to deliver food, that got you away from your phone. He was like, 50-50 chance you had the phone in your pocket or not. But either way, you have all the show up to your house wanting money from you for food. That's how they distract you from your phone. And I didn't see all the alerts and everything going off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some advice for some streamers coming up.
Yeah.
Watch out
Two-factor authentication on everything. Like, I can't sign on to. Oh, and the only thing I stopped them from doing is as I was logging into Twitch, they were in there trying to change my stream key and my password. They could have deleted my entire Twitch channel if they wanted to.
Oh, my goodness.
The only thing I changed. Yeah.
I'm sure that's like the most important thing, because like I'm not sure how easy it is to get that back. Because
I don't know, because I was really, which I'm still small potatoes, but I was really small potatoes then. I don't know if Twitch would have cared, Like, but now there's an app called Authy you can use, and you guys know how it works. But if you don't have everything on 2-factor, do it. Like, I can't even log into PayPal on my computer without getting a text message to my phone now. Like, none of that.
But we want to thank you very much for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate your time.
No, I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you.
And thank you for listening to this episode of the Rad Gaming Podcast. You can check out our guests by clicking the link in the description. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and rate and subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever else you listen to podcasts. We release a new episode every Wednesday and Friday. And as always, stay rad, comrades.